Press and Information at the Supreme Court, Justice Dr. Festus Akonde, said the event will hold by 10 a.m. at the main courtroom of the Supreme Court. Well, that's about that. It seems as though fuel scarcity is resurfacing once again. I don't know if you caught up with that over the week. And I had to get fuel, and it was it was such a tumultuous, event. I couldn't get fuel. It was a whole lot. The queues, absolutely ridiculous. So fuel scarcity is gradually surfacing in Lagos and other parts of the country. Private depot owners hiked the ex-depot price of petrol from 630 naira to 720 naira per litre. This came as fuel scarcity worsened in Abuja and the adjoining states on Sunday, with some filling stations dispensing PMS as high as 900 naira per litre. First of all, we heard, because of the rains, some roads in Kogi State and in Edo State were bad, and when we have fuel situations like that, that means the tankers cannot move petrol from one place to the other smoothly. So we heard it was the roads, and then now we're hearing it's a fuel hike. So let's watch and see how that happens. It's a really sad situation because I don't think so far we've had any year where we've been uninterrupted with fuel queues. For a country who has it in abundance in our soil. We have it we are an oil producing country. We seem to have a lot of fuel queues attacking us here and there. We'll look at all that in just a moment with Rufai. We also have in the news, National grid fully restored after partial disturbance. This is according to the TCN. I don't know if you experienced some blackouts over the course of the weekend. Well, the TCN of Nigeria, the transmission company of Nigeria, says that the national grid is fully restored after what it described as partial disturbance at about sometime on Saturday. The system disturbance, which brings to 3 the partial grid disturbances, with 1 total disturbance this year, is suspected to have been triggered by the unexpected tripping of 3 units of a power generating station, which suddenly removed some megawatts from the grid, causing system instability that led to the loss of bulk supply to a section of the national grid. Well, this is a lot. Basically, this just means system malfunction. A lot of people have been complaining about how old our systems, our equipments are, and just why we haven't done a lot to empower the electricity sector. We'll look at all that in just a moment. Meanwhile, the court has ordered Buhari's minister to account for 729 billion naira payment to poor Nigerians. This is the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk. She's been ordered to account for payments of 729 billion naira to 24.3 million poor Nigerians for 6 months. The court also ordered the former minister to provide the list and details of the beneficiaries who received the payments, the number of states covered, and the payments per state. The judgment was delivered last month by Honorable Justice Deinde Isaac, following a Freedom of Information suit brought by SERAP. This was disclosed in a statement by SERAP's Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, who noted that the certified true copy of the judgment was obtained last Friday. He said that in his judgment, the Justice Deinde, the former minister, is compelled by the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act to give information to any person, including SERAP. I therefore grant an order of mandamus directing and compelling the minister to provide the spending details of 729 billion naira to 24.3 million poor Nigerians in 2021. Well, we'll look at all that in just a moment. Failed so far. We are introducing another segment of the show. It's called The Agenda. It'll start at 8 o'clock from 8 to 9 a.m. We're going to be looking in-depthly into different issues. It's a current affairs program, and it's going to be a one-on-one interview with guests. That's what we're going to be doing from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock every single weekday on here from now up until whenever. So you have to look on that particular program. We're looking at this issue of social welfare programs, how they've become a cash pool for politicians. We'll look at all that in just a moment. Meanwhile, the governor of Sokoto State, Ahmed Aliyu, has accused some local government and local government education authority officials of diverting 30,000 naira stipends meant for workers in the state to celebrate the just concluded Eid el-Kabir. We'll be looking at all that in just a moment. Insecurity in Yobe State, troops have thwarted an attempt to blow up TCN Tower in Yobe State. The combined Nigerian Army Troops of Combat Team 7 of 27 Task Force Brigade, in conjunction with hunters, have thwarted an attempt to blow up a tower of the Transmission Company of Nigeria around Kasesa village on outskirts of Damaturu, Yobe State capital. These are some of the issues that we've been facing, especially with our electricity. Rather, we have people who attack the national grid in one way or the other. So we'll be looking at all that in just a moment. But don't forget, we always have our voices in the news, people who have said one thing or the other. And looking at this particular conversation, this was had, we're going from international now and looking back into Nigeria. This was had by Biden, and he says he will beat Trump again come 2027, come 2024 rather, pardon me. Let's take a listen.
They're trying to put in race. Well, let me say this as clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race. I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020. They're trying to push me out of the race.
All right. He made a blunder and said in 2020. And some people have made that particular argument concerning his cognitive abilities. But
in a race. I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020.
All right, that is the bone of contention right now in the U.S. So someone said the difference between the U.S. and Nigeria is that U.S. has rule of law and independent systems that actually guard the law. I don't know what you think about this, but we'll be looking at our justice system in a moment. We have the AGF, Lateef Fagbemi, the Attorney General of the Federation, talking about the fact that the judiciary is no longer the last hope of the common man, but for the big people who patronize them.
To the indefatigable Mr. Fix-It, Mr. Project, the Honorable Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Chief Nyesom Wike, CON Life Venture, for his exceptional leadership and steadfast support for the judiciary. Your dedication to this project and your overall contributions to the legal community have been instrumental in making this day possible. It is one thing to dream. It is another thing to realize your dream. If you did not initiate it, there is nothing the Federal Executive Council can do. You have the option to venture into other areas, and I know you are doing it, but it is the turn of the judiciary. Gone were those days when judiciary was regarded as the last hope of common man. I take objection to it. It is the big people now who patronize the judiciary, not even the common man. And if you have any doubt, when election is approaching, come and see the way, with all respect, some people behave like rain-beaten chicken. Forgive me, I don't mean to be rude. So the judiciary is no longer the last hope of common man alone. It is also a major to...
I don't know what you think about the statement. Some people said, is he shooting himself in the foot, or is he saying something, is he being sarcastic with what he's saying? Meanwhile, Ewike had a lot to say about the judiciary. Let's listen.
do an legal year, not in September. September is tomorrow. Legal year in this division. Let me also say that Mr. President is not only concerned about building this alone. Mr. President has also provided. Now look, when he hears where judges are living, people who were involved in trying criminals, people who were involved in controversial cases, there are rented buildings. Tomorrow, the money is not there to pay. And then the contractor will be embarrassed, the landlord will be embarrassing them. That is not what we should have. We should have a judiciary where they have their own houses so they're comfortable and carry out their duties. What Mr. President has done, I want to say it to all of us, that we should provide accommodation, 10 for the Court of Appeal, 10 for the Federal High Court, 20 for the FCT Court. My Lord, if the DPP helps us on time, you will lay the foundation of these 40 buildings. Federal Appeal for the FCT High Court and the Federal High Court before you retire. I will believe by August we will have laid the foundation. The President has also not stopped there. He has said several times in the executive that look, our judges, when they retire, they have no job to do. Unlike medical doctors, unlike engineers, who when they retire can go back to their practice. And in this case, this is not available for the justices and judges. And Mr. President said, look, we have to start somewhere. And he has approved that the heads of court must have their retirement homes. Mr. President has approved the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, the Chief Judge of the FCT, the President of the National Industrial Court, and the President of the Court of Appeal must have their retirement homes. And I want to assure you, by the grace of God, the foundation of these homes will be laid this August, and before that September, you all have your keys to your houses.
All right. So if you don't get the context, right? Nyesom Wike had announced the construction of 40 houses for the appeal court, the Federal High Court, and other justices here in Abuja. And he said that they will be handed keys to their homes before September 2025. He was talking about the fact that the president is having this as a major importance, as a major focal point for him to ensure that the appeal courts, the justices, have a home, a retirement home, by the end of next year, 2025. It is at this same event that we had Lateef Fagbemi, the Attorney General of the Federation, making this statement about the judiciary no longer being the last hope of the common man, but for the big people who patronize them. It's really, really interesting. I don't know what he's trying to say about this, but I just want you to listen once again, just for context.
Have been instrumental in making this day possible. It is one thing to dream. It is another thing to realize your dream. If you did not initiate it, there is nothing the Federal Executive Council can do. You have the option to venture into other areas, and I know you are doing it, but it is the turn of the judiciary. God, at those days when judiciary was regarded as the last hope of man, I take objection to it. It is the big people now who patronize the judiciary, not even the common man. And if you have any doubt, when election is approaching, come and see the way, with all respect, some people behave like rain beating. Forgive me, I don't mean to be rude. So the judiciary is no longer the last hope of common man alone. It is also,
all right. He says, forgive me to be rude, and then proceeds to continue being rude. Anyway, that's what a lot of people were saying in the comment section. But there's a lot in the news at the moment. We have Pro-Wike lawmakers celebrating the appeal court judgment in a new diss track. But before we check judgment by the court, had to say about the court in this Rivers issue about the 25 state assembly members.
The High Court of Rivers State by Justice Wali had given an order restraining the Amehule-led House of Assembly from parading themselves as members of the House of Assembly, other sundry orders that he made. And these gentlemen were yet to be put on notice, but when they got wind of the proceedings, they went straight forward into the Court of Appeal for the interpretation of that decision regarding the of the court to determine that issue. And that's all the court today, to determine whether the lower court, the High Court of Rivers State, has jurisdiction to entertain that matter in the first place. And that is where the issue is. The decision of the court does not give any unilateral powers or rights to restoration or to change the status quo as it exists right from the onset. I will say that we've been having so much cherry picking with judicial pronouncements here and there. We call it forum shopping here. There's judges from the Federal High Court making decisions, and they begin to impede against themselves with other orders of courts that create a lot of conflicts and touch on judicial integrity. I think the judiciary should have been a little more circumspect and allow these issues to go the proper way, the proper direction, and not to begin to entertain several actions, several issues on the same subject matter, even though are different. At the end of the day, it gives the politicians the opportunity to go foreign shopping or cherry-picking between which courts to go to and which court not to go to. I think it is one single judge that did what I consider as appropriate, the Honorable Justice Wogu. He took a look at the case before him and took a look at the order made by the Federal High Court and said, well, I don't have jurisdiction. And that is the end of the matter. And I think we want more judicial appropriateness in that direction, that there should be a synergy amongst the courts to know which one should be entertained and which one should be discarded. But what the Court of Appeal did today is to determine whether the Honorable Justice Wali of the High Court of Rivers State has jurisdiction to entertain that matter, or whether the matter before him was competent. And they anchored their decision on the provisions of Section 272, sub 3 of the Constitution, to the effect that the Federal High Court has the jurisdiction to determine the vacancy of positions of members of the House of Assembly. Even though the court went later to say it is exclusive, I disagree with that totally. It cannot be found within the notion of exclusivity for the Federal High Court to exercise that jurisdiction, because we are talking about a House of Assembly that is within state. There could be a concurrence.
So the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has set aside the order made by the High Court of Rivers State restraining the 25 members of the Rivers House of Assembly who allegedly defected from the People's Democratic Party to the APC from further parading themselves as members of the Assembly and conducting legislative business. Well, this was...
Judas, where are you? Osabalaye, Makanti Molaye, where are you? Osabalaye, where are you? Osabalaye, Opopo Judas, where are you? Osabalaye, Osabalaye, Similar.
This is a new diss track that they played for the governor Sim Fubara. We'll get Mr. Larry's point of view in just a short moment before we get into our conversation for the day on the other side of the morning ride. On the agenda, we'll be looking at that in just a moment. But right about now, our time is fast spent to speak with Mr. Rufai Oseni to get his 2 cents on our headlines this morning. Meanwhile, you can join the conversation. The phone line is 0808 312 8618 0808 312 8618 0808 312 8618 is the number to call to be a part of the conversation this morning. Go ahead and give us a call. Let us know what you think about any one of our headlines, and we'll take the conversation from there. Also, looking at a lot that's happening in the news at the moment, do let us know what you think about any of our headlines this morning. All right, we have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you.
Yes. My name is Honorable Beatrice Boy. I'm calling from Gimbia Street.
All right, you're welcome, Honorable. Go ahead.
Yes. In fact, I want to appreciate you for the wonderful work you guys are doing, educating Nigerians, giving us up-to-date development in the country.
Thank you so much.
And to appreciate your station for being there for the masses.
Thank you so much.
In fact, I want to talk about this River State issue.
Right.
I think to be fair to the people of River State is for the two actors, the two elephants that are fighting, and River State people are suffering, no development, nothing is happening. They should please shed their sword and ensure that there is peace in River State, and then the people get the so-called dividend of democracy, and then by extension, Nigeria will equally be at peace because River State is the heart of the resources that comes into the federation account for the development of the nation at all. So if River State is in crisis, then it affects. And then secondly, I want to equally hint on the issue of the judiciary. Honestly, yes, we appreciate them for the wonderful work they are doing in some areas, but they need to up themselves in the area of being fair and being just to even the common man, because as the other man, as you were wrote, in fact, what that man said is true.
AGF.
Because the judiciary today, the common man cannot go to the court and win case, especially if the case is against a rich person. So the judiciary should check the balance and stick to the case. If you have the right, and you have your evidences, opportunity, and may God continue to bless you and protect your station and protect all of us.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. All right, that was Honorable giving us his 2 cents on this particular conversation. We have Mr. Rufai on the phone this morning. Good morning, Mr. Rufai.
Yeah, Jesse. Morning, how are you?
Apologies, we're taking some calls.
Okay.
Yes. Good morning, and how was your weekend?
Was all right. Well, good.
All right, so let's get into the matter, the crux of it. Mr. Rufai, this Samoa deal, what exactly is your 2 cents on it? We know that the when it's coming to the fact-checking aspect of this, Premium Times did a little bit, and we know that the Nigerian government signed the agreement 7 months after it was formally signed in Samoa, and the general public is invited to note that Nigeria was not represented at the signing ceremony, which took place last year. I mean, there's been a lot of issues with this particular deal. What's your take on it?
The major issue with the particular deal is the case of same-sex, gay and lesbian rights. But my argument has always been, this is not because, I want to look at things from the side of federal government, but I want to be objective. You can't have foreign laws come out and override your constitution. Anything you sign is subject to your constitution. And I think the government had made this clear in the ample declaration that they made. So I respect the investigative work of Premium Times, but we should also respect the fact that the government had made this clear in the declaration. If they now try to pass any laws in deference to the Samoa Act, then the people have a right to.
Let's not over Sadia Umar Farouk. for payments of 729 billion naira to 24.3 million. A lot of people said they did not see beneficiaries of that particular grant and all of that. So the question now is, are we going to see a transparent, I don't know, are we going to see her release the details of that particular deal? Are we going to see the details of that, do you think?
No, we are waiting. She must. Yes, she must. You see, when people like us in there in this country and asking her that, please, madam, all the people you claim you are giving money, where are their lists? Should be the Buhari government said our mouth was smelling during COVID. That she was giving people 10,000 and she was giving them money. Where are their names? We're asking that time. Oh, they called us all sorts of names. We're saying, madam, the way you are giving this money out is not your accountability. They said, no, we are stupid. The big court is not asking her the question. She go and answer the court. And she must bring those lists out. If she doesn't bring those lists out, the law should take its course. We can't have a country where we just ask the APC government of Buhari and Tinubu now. How did they grow the national debt from 12 trillion under Jonathan to 121 trillion? What did they do with the money?
Hello?
Yeah, I said they should tell us how they spend the money. We are waiting.
All right.
I said they should tell us how they spend the money. We are waiting.
I mean, when it comes to issues like this, when it comes to transparency, I know that we've had government, different administrations who have tried better when it comes to, educating the citizens of what they're doing, especially with funds, public funds and all of that. But why have we had such a decline in our transparency when we know that that's a major thing that the country needs? Why have we had such a porous system of transparency in the country?
Because of the docility of the citizenry. Because they know the citizen will not ask questions and they will not hold them accountable. When the citizen is docile, you have transparency issue. Emuro said something. He said, in a country of sheep, the government will be the wolf. So when we are very docile like sheep, the government will be the wolf. But when the citizenry start to ask questions on fundamental rights, the government will sit up. So we have become a country like sheep. That's why the government has been the wolf. That's why till today, we have not heard what happened to Beta. We have not heard what is going on as regards Beta, and nobody's saying anything. The other day I was hearing that, they said they had cleared the case. Some of the sources said, no, they had cleared the case. It's also had to be restated. Till today, we've not heard anything. Today, we've not heard anything. So, that's the kind of country we live in. That's the kind of country we live in.
It's a very, very interesting situation that we're in, but hopefully we get
There's
to see a way forward.
There's nothing interesting about it, except
Mr. Rufai,
Nigerians. Listen, except Nigerians start to take action. Call your lawmakers, send them messages. Don't re-elect people that don't listen to you in elections. Elections matter. And we keep saying they will use talk, they will scatter the election. It's a lie. This last election showed that if Nigerians actually come out and say they can vote, it's hard for you to manipulate. A third candidate for the first time got over 6 million votes in this country. Peter Obi. So it shows that if Nigerians truly put their foot on the ground, it is possible. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. We grow on illusion too much. That's the problem we have in this country. We grow on illusion. There's too much illusion in our life. That's why our laws do not change. If you actually come together, and you see in this last election, Nigerians didn't even come out. Nigerians didn't even come out. What was voter turnout rates? For over 80 million registered, those that elected who finally became the president was 30 million. If out of that 80 million we had 60 million come out, you think they'll not have tipped the balance?
You think we will not have tipped the balance? So the day we are ready, go and check. It's only about 15% of the population that elects who becomes the president in the end. So go and check. Go and check. The day we open our mouths and we are ready to make a change, the better it is for us. We're not ready. So all of this we say we'll keep talking from today to tomorrow. The docility of the people. You see, that docility also ring true in NSAS. What happened to NSAS? The political class started dividing the people across board. It's part of the docility. It's part of the docility because the political class saw that easily how can they do the divide. So some people were justified. Docility. The docility also means not being able to speak with one voice. It's still in this country that people condone evil. They don't condemn it. People will tell you that as long as it's present for my race, my tribe, my religion, I will not say, oh, he has not done well when he has done evil. It's part of the docility. We keep talking about Kenya. Look at what the United Front of Kenya youth did.
I was going to reference that. I mean,
today the president is speaking. He's speaking. He's talking kaba. Because those young people organize themselves and they know where they are going.
But Mr. Rufai,
they are not still agreeing.
Yes, but there's also sorry, there's also a part of a willing president. He was willing to listen to the people. He was willing.
No,
I mean,
sorry. He was not willing to listen to the people. It was the pressures from the people that forced him. He was not willing to listen to the people. Ruto was willing to cut his wife's budget, his first lady's budget, another budget in cabinet that was worth over 1.5 billion shillings until the people actually came up. That was when Ruto decided to cut it. So let's stop deceiving ourselves. And the greatest relief of the people can be at the elections. So for those that don't vote, or those that say we will sell our votes, and they go they rig and they lie. If you come out and vote, your voice will be counted. Your voice will be heard. Your voice, in fact, those Nigerians say we come out in like we didn't even come out. Empirical data provides that it didn't come out enough.
For this past election.
It didn't even come out in. Oh yes, we had close to 90 million registered voters. And less than 30 million people decided who will be president. President Tinubu got about 8.6 million votes. Atiku got 7 point something. That's about 15 point something. Obi got 6 point something. Let's say 21 point something. And let's say others. Less than 30 million people decided the fate. It's a country of over 200 million people. But less than 30 million people, less than 15% of the population decided the fate. And you had a vote of 1 million. So what were the rest doing? There were people that sat at home that didn't vote. Okay, let's even say, okay, most of the people on the register mortality might have happened. Let's say about 10-20% mortality rate. You could still have had close to even maybe 40 or 50 million people come out to vote. If extra 5 million people have added voices, at least we had 40 million people to come out, they were able to tip this away. So let's be realistic. And they also know, this political class also know that the lies are thinning out. That's why they will constantly try to divide the people. And the people should shine their eye. Here we can collectively speak against evil and say, irrespective of the person from my tribe or my race or my ethnicity or my religion, if it's evil, I'll speak against it. That's the day Nigeria will start to grow. But if we are not ready to say that, then nothing will grow, nothing will change in the country. And it is those proclivities that they use, they keep using to guide us. Because they know our mentality. They know that they've impoverished an average Nigerian. So when they give him 5,000 naira, he will kill for 5,000 naira. So they will still see people that are going to bribe. Please, let's start this campaign this morning. For every caller that's going to call us radio show, ask them to ask this question. APC government how did they increase the debt from 12 trillion to 121 trillion? You will see. Let me tell you how people provide it. You will see people call and say, yeah, they should know that foreign exchange problem happened. We had COVID. They will give all sorts of reasons, but they will run away from the true matter of the reckless spending of the hitherto APC government. So you see some people in defense. But if we can collectively say, APC grew this thing Because if you want to say the same too for PDP, PDP had a global economic crisis in 2008.
I mean, we will always reference
kept about 12 trillion.
We would always reference COVID. COVID hit a lot of businesses, and some people will argue that we're still
COVID, but there was a COVID bounce back. There was a COVID bounce. Okay, how much did they take in ways and means for COVID? There are some people are saying 7 trillion. Okay, remove 21 trillion. So how did they grow it up to 100 trillion? All the anchor borrowers programs that they were, what's the accountability for those monies? So let's ask those questions today. So if you can collectively ask those questions, but you will see that that's the time some people call up the radio station and say, no, it's a true. Rufai hates APC. What concern me on APC, won't concern me on Labour Party, won't concern me on any political party. The only person I'm interested in Nigeria, I don't care who's president, as long as the country moves forward, that's my priority. So we need to collectively speak as one. It's the docility and the divergence and the divisionary tactics. That's how they used to easily divide us. And that's why we're not moving. I guess you have a good morning. Bless.
All right. Thank you so much, Rufai. Have a good morning as well. All right. We have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes.
My name is Honorable Beetleboy, calling again.
All right. You're welcome back, Honorable. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I am from Plateau State. I just came into Abuja for some certain meetings.
Okay.
And I don't joke with programs like this because I'm a politician and I'm a true Nigerian.
Okay.
I want to thank your guest for all he has been saying. In fact, he has spoken wonderfully well. In fact, as at today, our debt stands at 124 trillion naira. It used to be 100 point something, but within the last 2 months in Tinubu's government, 24 trillion was added to that 100. And our debt stands at 124 trillion naira now. You can check it. And can you imagine the inflation rate in Nigeria, just to give you some statistics, is hitting 33.95% as at May. You can imagine the level of corruption in APC government. That is the highest since 1996. That is on record. All these are owing to the fuel subsidy removal and currency weakness. How do we run this country successfully? And I appreciate your guest for saying that our youths are really, really docile. We are really, really docile. We are not ready and prepared to take up our country from these old folks. Check food inflation running at 40.66%. Housing deficit running into 29.64%. Transportation have risen to 25.62%. This is very, very unfortunate. A country like Nigeria shouldn't be suffering in this line. All they kept doing is to go and mobilize rice, mobilize maize, that in the name of giving their people palliative. The word palliative alone is an insult to Nigerians. If smaller African, you use palliative to cover the damages you have caused, to blindfold people who do not understand how economy should operate. Let's go to NEPA now. NEPA's kilowatt have risen from 66 naira as at last year to 209 naira 50 kobo as at this month. And if you buy NEPA light with 1,000 naira, it used to be 27.6 kilowatt, but today it's less than 4 kilowatts. And that less than 4 kilowatt is just a day consumption. And if you have facilities like what do we call it, deep freezers and the rest, it won't even take you 2 hours. This is very, very unfortunate. Look at the price. The price, there is lack of price control today. Tomato, that is one of the common things that we have in this country. the cost of tomato have risen to 131.58% in a whole in this country, and which is even the lowest among the price fluctuation. Sweet potato now is 182.04%. Where are we heading to? I think this country needs to, the youths of this country need to mobilize. However they are going to do it, we should rise and take over the leadership of our country by ourselves, no matter what it will take us. We cannot continue like this.
All right.
How much are they paying their how much is civil servants collecting? Do you know that in a month, the highest amount in Nigerian civil servant is $20, when other smaller countries are paying $56, $325. In Gabon today is $256. In South Africa, $242. Go to Mauritius, $240 in a month.
Right,
but in Nigeria today, $20. Please, we as your guests have said, we have to begin to find modalities to discuss how we are going to rescue this country from this morning and make sure that this country is liberated from corruption, from insecurity,
all right,
but high inflation and the rest of them. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Thank you so much, and have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right, so you listening, thank you so much for listening to the Front Page Review. This has been an interesting session. We're going to take a break in just a moment, and then we'll start the arena in just a moment with Mr. Larry Oguego. Today, we'll be looking at this issue of palliatives, what they've been doing in the country, if they're good or bad, have they been working so far. We'll be looking at the nitty-gritty of it all in just a moment. Let's pay some bills. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Good morning to you. Welcome to the arena. Right here on the program, we'll be talking about different current affairs issues and seeing how they affect us as Nigerians. We'll be taking a deep dive into so many social welfare issues, looking at the economy, looking at politics, looking at different aspects of our economy that make us who we are, that weave the area as a whole. My name is Gesire, and you're welcome to the show this morning. On the arena today, a good way to gauge how well the society is doing is by asking about the social welfare and seeing if people are happy. In the society, as part of a phenomena seen in societal development, certain people need some level of assistance, either due to their disposition or because of the environment they find themselves in. They require some social welfare to enable them cope with the social problems arising from daily activities and living conditions. If you examine the social life welfare in Nigeria, you look at some of the looking at the dollar increment, you're looking at the falling purchasing power of the naira, you're also looking at security as well. These issues are major social problems, and they require some level of social welfare that the government gives to Nigerians. Now, looking at the Buhari's administration and looking at this particular issue, the ongoing probe of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission by the EFCC rather into the Social Intervention Fund supposedly misused by the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk. This particular ongoing probe, it needs to be thorough because that particular ministry is one that has been ingrained in one issue.
One person, who is ministry. And I'm yet to meet anybody who has seen one person. And I'm asking questions on alliance because it's have spent money on 25 million persons or so, we are told. And Nigerians don't know who they are. And so the aim of the ministry is to help the poorest of the poor. But
all right. First of all, I just want to look at social intervention programs that we've had in the past 8 years. The Buhari-led intervention programs aimed at tackling poverty and in prominence of it incorporated Empower program, the National Homegrown School Feeding program. There was the Trader Money. There were a lot of others that were created by the Buhari-led administration.
None of them worked significant areas and where poverty is endemic to go to school. Fortunately, that program also failed. The Empower didn't empower anybody, unfortunately, to the best of my knowledge. You see, when you impact that is visible, you should be able to see the statistics. While we are working very hard, or so we claimed, to reduce poverty and the effect of poverty. Poverty is increasing in Nigeria. That is, more people, as at 1971, 80% of Bangladeshis were living in poverty. 1991, it was about 40. Now, 2022 is to deepen the poverty. If you give people money consistently over time, they begin to develop a sense of entitlement, and that money, and you give them more and more to sustain their new desires, or you finally said in Nigeria.
So let's look at Empower, right? We had a better Edu. She wasn't a part of the Buhari's administration, right? She came into power last year and she was the minister at the time. She had announced, I remember it, that she had announced that we would continue, we would restart, commence the arrear payments of Empower beneficiaries. She had announced it on television. She said payments to Empower beneficiaries, or said they benefited one way or the other. Are they audio? Were they paid? Were they in one way or the other arranged by the government to come and tell Nigerians, okay, we are beneficiaries of this, when in actuality they weren't beneficiaries?
Well, the truth of the matter is that the Empower program, like most things done by government, was shrouded in secrecy to the extent that we didn't have enough transparency so we even ascertain to court, drag the ministry and former minister to court to tell us precisely how she empowered 25 million Nigerians. You see, ordinarily, if you say you actually hired people and you are doing empower training and you are paying them money, these things should be published openly online. So anybody who is interested can go and see the beneficiaries, even interview them to know how it's going. It shouldn't be hidden. It shouldn't be secret. Unfortunately, because most of the time our government and leader beneficiaries won't even see people to ask, did you benefit? How much were you paid? So to that extent, Empower also failed. I mean, the project was a good idea, but the implementation, as is almost always the case, was very poor. And
so where do we have issues that could emanate from some of these programs? Because I mean, you say it's a good idea, so where could some of the loopholes be in these programs?
The first loophole is that these are supposed to be real solutions to national problems, but we convert them to political instruments by political parties. And once politics comes into these things, you find out that when they want to appoint people who will lead the program, they will look for party loyalists. When they want to engage staff to work in the agency, they look for party loyalists. From that point, they compromise the capacity of the program to succeed and flourish. That is the first problem. Even if these programs are conceived by political parties, they should be protected from political influence. Professionals who have the capacity and who have the passion for such projects should be hired to give them life. Unfortunately, that's not the case because of programs that were supposed to transfer money to young people to start businesses, not just from today, but from Jonathan days. And they failed woefully, both from the PDP days and APC days, basically because they became practically centers of corruption. They won't have time to go into the details of the kinds of corrupt practices that we experienced under the PDP. I interviewed some young people who were under my mentorship who got into this other program that gave young people money to start businesses under PDP. The kind of scams the companies will tell them, just write your name and go, we don't have any space to train you, just go and take your money. All kinds of stories from real participants. And you begin to ask yourself, how do you expect the program to succeed when the idea behind it was dead on arrival, in the sense that the idea was supposed to be to empower young people. The operators of the program responded to empowering themselves by lining their pockets to illicit funds. The project will fail. And that's what happens to Nigerians all the time, because corruption makes repetition. They forget why the project was established. It's not that other countries do not engage in corrupt practices here and there, but the problem is that here it appears that corruption is the main business, and in the business of the day takes the back seat, and it kills everything. Look at what is happening now with all these program, all the other programs within Empower. Nigerians cannot see where the money went. So how can you say you shared 722 billion naira and we can't see the money and we can't see the impact? We have 774 local government areas in Nigeria. What it means is that it's almost 1 billion per local government area, and we feel the impact. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? I can't even find the people who got the money. And you say 25 million. So you're talking of more than 10% of Nigerians. Apparently, these projects fail. Until we stop this slap on the wrist syndrome, until we go to the National Assembly to discuss the national or new national anthem, we should be discussing what to corrupt public servants and corrupt Nigerians. We're not going to make progress. Corruption is a huge problem. And as long as anything at all, because corruption is like a virus, it's like a deadly virus, it compromises, like a typical HIV virus. Corruption does to the nation. It compromises the capacity of the nation to get anything right.
number and then you say you are giving Nigerians. So I did a little bit of research and saw that in Brazil, established in 2003, the former president Lula da Silva, he created a program that every month, each child in a family with a household with an income fewer than a certain amount of money, in exchange for that money, the parents must ensure that their children attend school and regular doctor's appointments. These are two things that he's tying together. He's giving you money, but you must also use some facilities as well. School, health. In Argentina, beginning in 2009, that program provided money to children from impoverished families. Every month, child beneficiaries receive a certain amount of money, and they place a certain amount of money with the family and then keep the remaining in itself. It's the same in the Philippines as well. In Jamaica, there's the same sort of program where money is given in exchange for the children obtaining a certain amount of education in school, or at least some form of education, whether formal or informal. I don't know why we haven't tried to tie those two here in the country.
You should look at the international transfer to do was to give incentives to families to do certain things for the little children. And the cash transfer was focused on the welfare of the children. And of course, they also had to monitor to ensure that the beneficiaries were doing those things. And that is what we failed to do in Nigeria. First of all, we're just dashing the people money in poverty. In other words, we want to reduce the pain of the poor. We don't have the dream of removing the poverty. We just want to. You find out that at least the framework is far worse than what we have in Nigeria. And it's an incentive system. But honestly speaking, I'm not a fan of corona cash transfer, whether it's the one done in Brazil, Argentina. The process of Bangladesh coming out of poverty was initiated, the concept of microfinance was initiated by a man called Mohammed Yusuf. It's the money you use to do the microcredit and teach them how to do small businesses and bring themselves out of poverty permanently. It's a matter of mindset. Even if Brazil did it well, and I don't want to go into how successful they were. I mean, if you give me money to incentivize me to take my child to hospital and school, what if you stop giving me the money? What happens? But if you look at the story of Bangladesh, how they moved from 80% poverty just after their independence from Pakistan to 44%, approximately 20 years later, thereabouts. And then now they're actually transiting, they are moving out of being regarded as a poor country. Actually, they have overtaken both Pakistan and India in GDP. The country that was seen as the headquarters of poverty. In the world, with a very, very bad weather, natural disasters, all kinds of things challenging them. Today, their infrastructure is super. Do you know that a few years ago, just like 10, 12 years ago, Bangladesh had as much power outages as Nigeria. Today, they have 100% electricity, not only provided for 100% of the population, but also 100% power supply. In how many years? In how many years? They moved from about 5 gigawatts not too long ago, I think it's about 2010, to 25 gigawatts in 2022. Check them. In Nigeria, we have been hovering around that 5 gigawatts for God knows how long. We don't improve, but we have thrown in billions of dollars. Go and look at what Egypt did. These are the things that bring people out of poverty. So assuming I fry akara and I need electricity to drive my mill that will grind beans for me, I have power. Anytime I want to grind my beans, I grind my beans. This is one country where you can load the whole beans and you want to press the switch, say, hey, they have taken light. And you mess up the person's business for the day. Doing business here is extremely difficult. And what they did in Bangladesh was that they focused on creating wealth, not alleviating poverty. I won't stop saying it. I'm not a fan of poverty alleviation, and I won't be. Why should you focus on poverty? It's like going to church and you're discussing the devil when you should be discussing God. What's your business with poverty? Why do we name institutions and include poverty in the name of the institution? What happened to creating wealth? Why are we fixated on poverty? Why? If you give me 5,000 naira a month, after 10 months, you are giving me 50,000. How much does it take to start a micro business? How much? And when you dash a person 10,000 this month, I'll give you 15,000 and even teach you how to manage and expand. That's what Bangladesh did. So if we're going to copy, let's copy people who have succeeded. And guess what? They're close to 70 million, about that. We claim to be 200 million. Okay, so about the same. So why are we fixated on poverty and whether they created NAPEP, the same part, when it's the same money you are using to help these people cushion the pain of poverty that you can use to teach them permanently and even help other persons subsequently. Some of the small micro businesses, that's some of the tiny was started by Grameen businesses. So I think we need we cannot make progress focusing on speak. The same Bangladesh. I did a case study on Bangladesh some time ago. I've been doing it repeatedly. When I worked for an institute, I did a lot of that. And as we speak presently, they are creating how many? I think about 100 special economic zones, 100 to create 10 million jobs. Their infrastructure top notch. Now, you can see why they exited Pakistan. They fought a war literally to leave Pakistan. And they can look back and say that was a good decision. The people who perished in that war did not perish in vain. Okay, we got independence from Britain. What have we done with independence? Do you know that in less than how many years they've overtaken the former country? India is the third biggest economy in the world. But Bangladesh is doing better in several areas, including in managing poverty, than India. He explains that just a few years because they are focused. The greatest microfinance guru in the world, Mohammed Yunus, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for his contribution to developing microfinance. The word microfinance was developed by a Bangladeshi man. So this is how we should run a nation. And the banks in the country supported him when he demonstrated that this was viable. The first loan he gave was $25 from his own salary. But what do we do in Nigeria? Billion everywhere. And after you go scam, we don't see the impact of the billions. And every day we're talking about poverty. So when you are fixated on poverty, what you get is more poverty. That's the truth. That's why we're getting deeper into poverty. When you are fixated on wealth creation, what you do is to, after some time, people begin to think wealth, not how to manage poverty. You don't manage poverty. What is that to manage? So a person eats 2 meals a day, and then you say, okay, let me add half a meal to cushion the effect. What nonsense. Or a person eats one. Everybody has the capacity to take care of himself. It has been proven very, very well. In fact, the Bangladeshi experiment worked so well that America invited Yunus to come and help them to tackle poverty in inner cities and slums in America. So you have a Grameen Bank in America. So Bangladesh exported a poverty busting system to America.
But I just wanted to let the listeners know that you can always, at this point in time, join the conversation. It's at 0808 312 86 is Voice of the People Abuja. Voice of the People Abuja is the 618. Call the phone lines to join the conversation at any time. We'll take a break and pay some bills. When we come back, we'll be looking at the role of you as a Nigerian in ensuring that some of these programs have either failed or your responsibility in ensuring that they work. We'll be back in just All right, you're welcome back. This is the arena right here on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. And I've got Mr. Larry Ogoego in the studio, on the phone rather. Where we've been talking a little bit on social intervention programs in the country so far, from the Jonathan's administration right up until now, and what our responsibilities are as citizens. All right, what have we been doing wrong as citizens, and what should we do right?
Well, the first thing we must do right is to actually provide what I call citizens oversight. That is the National Assembly, that the official institution. And then we also have EFCC, ICPC, and all that. But the citizens should actually be vigilant for their benefits. That's ordinary people. And a situation where we actively scuttle projects that are meant to be a blessing to the masses, that by sharing the money meant for these projects, pilfering the money, isn't that the project becomes totally comatose, only bad morally. But it's one of the reasons we have insecurity. People will steal this money, use the money to buy fancy cars, and then some others who don't have any means of livelihood will abduct them to get some of the money. While I'm not recommending that poor people should resort to crime, the fact that when you have a prosperous society, you have less crime, other things being equal. So we need to also look at the fact that this is not the solution. It's not a good way to solve our own personal problems or benefits. I think we should do everything we can to stop that. And apart from our own personal dispositions, we should also expose people who do that kind of thing. Not just so that you get reward from whistleblowing, but because it's a duty we all have to protect ourselves. And there are several ways to expose these things. Thank God for social media and all that. But unfortunately, we don't seem to be interested. And unfortunately, sometimes when Nigerians expose evil, rather than the government go after the evildoer, they go after the person who exposed it, which discourages people. But we need to get to that point where we understand that this is our country and we don't have any other country. For some people who have other countries, they should also realize that even if they run away to these other countries, their kith and kin are here. They can't totally disengage. They can't totally detach themselves from this country. And so to that extent, the people must be responsible to ensure that any project we design should work. And the design should be something that is viable from beginning. Any design that focuses on dashing people money will give them a sense of entitlement and ultimately destroy them. That is my position, and I don't intend to go away from that. So if we are designing solutions to poverty problem in Nigeria, the solution must be on the basis of helping people to create wealth at whatever level, helping people to start small businesses, helping them to sustain themselves. I wish we had time. I would have given you some practical examples of how these things work. I've been involved in that. There's a woman that we are currently helping. She has 3 kids, had issues with a very, very irresponsible husband. As we speak now, she sells fruits in front of my office. Myself and they start selling fruits. Before then, we were helping them with food packages. I told my friends, this is not sustainable. Let us help her. If you check the money we have been spending, we can still support, but let her have that dignity of doing business, earning money. So we are helping. And then she's picking up. She's now having ideas. How do I expand from banana to these other ones? Can you people help me that this machine they use to make orange juice, it will help me make more money. So we are looking at a situation where eventually we don't have to even subsidize their feeding anymore. And all of that. We have arranged, we are in discussion presently for a school to give those 3 kids to giving her money as such anymore. We're not even giving materials, but we are giving help that is sustainable. So take the kid off her in terms of education. So she doesn't have to spend so much money, the small money she's making on education. And then, so what's remaining now is food. And what's our solution? Sell fruits in the afternoon. We are considering, okay, madam, if you can sell food stuff on the street in the evening, sell food stuff. So you can make small profit and then eat from that business, even if you don't make much money. The others pay for your feeding with those 3 girls. This is how to get people out of poverty. You may be surprised that the next 2-3 years, she may stand on her own, start making money, get bigger in the business, and then she won't be anybody's problem. Those kids will grow well and have education and be responsible. But if all of us ignore her and wait for trader money or this one we are dashing now, what will happen is that she won't get it. And then those girls and that boy may grow to become problems to all of us in society. So we need to think beyond this issue of government, doing anything they like, and we just clap for them because we are APC, or we criticize them because we are PDP. We need to get to that point where we help government develop proper policies that will work. That is, if they'll let us help them. But these are all angles of how citizens can get involved.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry, for your time. I know it's fast spent. Thank you so much for your time on this conversation this morning. We absolutely appreciate you.
It's my pleasure, and I hope that we are all listening to the voice of the people, and that we are also going to make our individual contributions to wealth creation. Let us focus less on fighting poverty. Let's focus more on creating wealth at all levels. And thanks for this opportunity to talk about this very, very sensitive subject matter.
All right. Have yourself a wonderful day.
And you too. Have a great week too.
Thank you. All right, you have the opportunity to call and let us know what you think about anything that we've said so far as regards this issue of palliatives. During the COVID-19, we saw Indomine, like Simeon would call it, Indomine, that that were meant for Nigerians, that were meant for the public, that were meant for the consumption of the public. They were stored in warehouses, and we had elected members of the public. We had them talking about the fact that they were keeping it to give Nigerians on their birthdays. So we saw situations like that. We've seen situations where things that are meant to alleviate poverty from Nigerians is further taking us back into poverty. And I don't know if you agree with what Mr. Larry has said so far as regards this conversation. If you think it's something that that we should stop giving people monies and we should be focusing on wealth creation. He's talking about the focus on poverty alleviation. Rather, we should shift it from poverty alleviation. 18 is the number to call to be a part of the conversation this morning. We're also live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. Meanwhile, our WhatsApp line is 0700 010 961 961 0700 010 961 961 is the number to send your WhatsApp message to, as well as join the conversation. When it comes to this issue of conditional cash transfers, I had earlier mentioned 4 different countries who do conditional cash transfers, but they always link it to different things that are going on in the country, either in the health sector or whatever. Okay, we have a call. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning. Honorable.
I'm calling again from Gimbia Street, Honorable Bitrus Boinga.
All right, you're welcome back, Honorable Bitrus.
Are you hearing me, ma?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Well, my contribution to this topic is that I don't know, how can a government borrow money to share to people free of charge without any constructive template on how those monies are to be used, on how it will benefit the individuals, and how it will benefit the economy of the nation? And again, how can a government print money to share to people without subjecting the process to rigorous scrutiny to ensure this money circulated in the economy, not just going into people's belly. You can imagine a government mobilize our resources, our cash, send to foreign accounts, and then go back and borrow that money in the name of foreign debt with huge interest that is to be paid by the government, and most of this money